Welcome to 5-Star Weekly, a possibly shocking outgoing and another homegrown out the door. We also talked to an old face to discuss his fandom of Atlanta United. We're getting all that and more coming up. Before we get into it, become part of the notification squad by hitting the bell next to the subscribe button on YouTube. Welcome to the show, 5-Star fam. I'm AJ, and this is Michael and Tanner. But yes, happy New Year 2026. Man, this is nuts. I just like I hate doing math on kind of just anything really, but especially subtracting and all that. But guys, we are on our 10th year of Atlanta United, and yeah, this is wild. I just unfathomable, but welcome. But if you're new, well, we already said do the things and all that. But also, if you're not new, if you're a Patreon member, well, we're going to give some love to you right now. So, yes, most notably, Gavin, Jordan, Niall, Andrew, Chris, Nick, Jeff, Patrick, and Tom. You guys are freaking legends. But, yes, we will get into the news here. We've got transfer rumors galore, and we got to rifle through them because we are also going to talk with Tanner later on in this episode about his fandom and basically, those that were eagle-eyed or, the ones that watched us from the beginning. Well, there was a little bit of some gap years. So we'll talk about that. And, it's definitely...
Yeah, it's like, do you mind explaining the gap in your resume between now and...
Right, exactly. Yeah, basically that's pretty much what this is. It's going to be like a really impromptu job interview. So, but so prepare for that, Tanner. But yeah, anyway. But all right, so let's get into the news. And yes, our 2026 preseason has been announced. We'll start in Georgia, move on to Texas. We'll be playing on the 30th of January against Lexington. Is it Lexington? Oh my God, my eyes have gone so. Terribly. Oh my God, Lexington SC USL 1. That will be at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground. But then once we go to Texas, we'll be playing Houston Dynamo on the 7th of February, and then Red Bull on the 11th. And then FC Dallas on the 14th. It will be called the Torneo de Tejas, the Texas tournament, essentially. And it will be the...
All right. Is there silverware on the line?
Yes, there will be. And it will be the inaugural version of this. But, of course, yeah, it's just really to, make it incentivized, of course, and get players to possibly feel like there's a little bit more at stake, even though, yeah, they know in the back of their minds that, okay, this doesn't mean shit.
What a way for Tata to start his season with a championship.
Right, exactly. If we do. I mean, he is known to not really prioritize cups, really. But, yeah, this is the difficulty here, is that these, like, some of them might be broadcast. The first one, anyway, will be. But the rest don't seem like they probably will. And that makes it for really tough analyzing of this club that, okay, they happened. That's pretty much probably going to be our analysis, unfortunately. And that's going to be annoying. But, yeah. What are your thoughts on the preseason being announced and any of that, Michael?
I mean, just... there are some people who I think go to these closed games and they sometimes live tweet things of that sort. So if you want to know, what's going on, stay tuned on our social media and stuff, and we'll have whatever we can find. If there's anything out there about what transpires, we'll let you know about it because information does leak eventually. So we'll have something for it, if hopefully something.
Right.
Yeah, it's a little strange to me. I guess. I mean, not strange. It's not the first time we've went away from our old tradition of Birmingham Legion and our regional type of Chattanooga, that type of thing we often do. But I was expecting that again. That would have been nice to do that again because a lot of the local fans like to go to the preseason games, and those are doable ones. Currently, the ones in Texas are not, so it's a little bit more difficult. Shout out to our devoted Atlanta United fandom in Texas. So, but yeah, besides that, I'm just excited to start to be able to see the team play again. It's been like forever because we were knocked out so early. So,
Indeed.
That's where I'm on that.
Indeed. And this doesn't preclude that we're not going to have another game or two in preseason. So yeah, it could, later on in February where maybe we do play a Legion and all that. But, Tanner, any thoughts on the preseason announcement?
I mean, you're not really probably going to see too much. And if there's any banger goals, you'll probably see those on Twitter and social media, and they'll put those out. I think the most interesting fact is, it's Tata's first preseason back, and as we'll get into later, signings are already being made. So I would hope that they actually do schedule a couple more preseason games, only because I think it'll be important to bed those new players in, to have the existing players learn Tata's system and get as quickly up to speed as possible, so that when it comes time for the actual season, they can hit the ground running.
Mm-hmm. And I think, the level of competition that we're playing, at least in Texas, it's very much going to be, of course, MLS opposition that we sorely need. I think in years past, we played kind of weird opposition that doesn't really ready us for the actual season. And we need to hit the ground running. I mean, I said this last season, but even more so this season, in order to get the fans back on board. Yeah, it kind of a little bit because of, having Miggy return, that was kind of the buoy to get people really, really excited last season. But we don't have that this season. The rumor is we're probably going to keep all our DPs. So with that, we need to fabricate some sort of excitement somehow, and not being able to watch the games, I think is a big miss from Atl United. And it's still, though, we know that Tata is very, it's very Bielsa-esque. He does not want anything leaked out, but he also will be, maybe not to the Bielsa degree, where he'll try to get spies and, see what's going on the opposition side. But we've never heard anything about that from Tata. But it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. But yes, so next bit of news, the Falcons. How does this pertain to Atl United? Well, I'll tell you. So basically, Greg Beatles has been elevated from president to president and CEO of the Atlanta Falcons, and that moves Rich McKay into a kind of higher position within the AMBSE entertainment pipeline, but kind of paradigm. And basically, McKay still oversees us, but it'll be just a little bit step removed for the Falcons and Atl United. And so, obviously the Falcons kind of have shit the bed as well. So, it's just lovely things all around for Atlanta sports. But, and we just got word that the Hawks, if you're a fan of them, traded Trae Young, which probably should have happened. But, it's just lovely stuff going around the sports for Atlanta. But I think this was a long time coming for, the Falcons. A lot of fans have felt this way. How it really impacts Atlanta United, I think will remain to be seen. But obviously, it's some succession planning. It's Arthur Blank, kind of planning for, him not always going to be here. Always going to be the owner. And yes, you have Josh Blank, who is becoming more and more of a part of AMBSE, and that's how it might really impact it, is that these kind of really important figures that haven't really brought as much success lately, unfortunately, are moving into kind of less hands-on roles. But really quickly, any thoughts on McKay moving out of kind of oversight of Atl United, kind of on a even more granular level, even if it wasn't really that granular?
I have no insight other than the fact that, from your experience, AJ, a son of a tycoon that runs sports team named Josh has been doing well in football recently. So Josh Kroenke's, maybe Josh Blank, who knows? Maybe it just takes a Josh to get things going for teams that wear red and stripes at times.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that because yes, the success is coming, and so yes, I will kind of take that as a positive thing. Someone that actually cares about the club and about the sport. So yeah.
Okay. I mean, and that's the thing from everything we've heard from a long time is that he actually does care about soccer and it's important to him. But I think now, especially with Atlanta United, not having a CEO and having to kind of seeing an organizational reshuffle on that side as well, it seems that the entire AMBSC business, for lack of a better term, is kind of going through a restructuring of their figures. So it'll be curious to see what impact that has on Atlanta United going forward as they look to fill those roles and restructure their front office as well.
Indeed. Michael, I mean, you're not a complete fan of all Atlanta sports, obviously being a transplant. So, I mean, both of you guys being transplants, but Michael being probably a little bit more recent, maybe, I think. Anyway, but yeah, thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, McKay is often cited as some kind of Illuminati behind the scenes evil being that is somehow, corruptive of his nature about whatever he touches. And so the further away he is from your beloved team typically is met with a very positive outlook. So I think that that's what most people will celebrate about hearing about that. And I guess that's, like I said, it's very behind the scenes. It feels like a very shady thing. So there's no direct thing I feel like we could link to being, well, this will immediately become better or something like that. And there may not even be anything like that. But the idea is that there's this miasma of a person and he's being removed to a degree from your beloved team. So celebration is at hand, I guess.
Yeah, indeed. So, we'll see what the actual impact might be, if any, that we can actually see. But yes, that did happen. So next bit of news, Tom Bogert of The Athletic, he reported that Norwegian club Fredrikstad SK will sign our rising American attacker Gabriel Wessa. He will turn 18 in May. He had 4 goals, 7 assists for the Twos last season, and yeah, it's it's another teenager, it is kind of, we have a history of selling teenagers basically to Europe, and this is just another long line of players that, well, in a sense, we're not really selling him. He's just signing for them, unfortunately, because yes, it is he is under 18, and yeah, I don't think we get a fee for this. We just maybe we get some future sell on because he came through, but other than that, not gonna be seeing too much probably, which kind of sucks. But any thoughts on Wessa, guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously the Norwegian pipeline is very alive and active thanks to Ronny Deila and Stian Gregersen. They've obviously been talking to Norwegian clubs and things like that, and that's how we got that very powerful connection. No, not really, but I do think that there's one positive thing perhaps to be said about it, and that is at least it's not to CF Montreal, which it seems like all of our promising guys get moved off to.
This is true, but I think you're also, I think highlighting a really important part is that because of Deila being here, and with other players as well that we're here, the eyes from Norway were on us, and so because of that, we have lost a player that is a teenager. So,
perhaps.
Yes, perhaps. But anyway, Tanner, any thoughts?
I mean, I think one, it's just kind of frustrating to not get a fee for him due to the weird structure of how MLS and their academies and the players transition from academies to the first team works. It would have been nice to have some sort of fee reported with him. It is a second division club, so that's an interesting move on his part. 4 goals and 7 assists isn't a bad season for a person of his age playing professional football. So, wish him the best, but, I don't think you can have any problems with having players move on to Europe, especially if he can move to a higher league, move to the first league in Norway, and then maybe to the continent. That just is showing that we can develop talent at a young age and then move them on. Just in the future, you're hoping we get fees for them.
Exactly. Because, if we're going to have, teenage attackers, I think you want them to be playing for Atl United versus just moving on without anything coming back. But yes, that doesn't mean anything won't be coming back in the future, but right now not much. But as well, another attacker that is a teenager, Ashton Gordon. He will be on loan to Chattanooga FC for the 2026 season. He is a player that has played kind of across the front line for Atl United 2, but he's 18. He's a homegrown player. He made his debut in the U.S. Open Cup in 2024. He made 2 appearances, and he also scored 2 goals in 19 games for the Twos over the MLS Next Pro seasons of 2024 and 2025. But, also battled several injuries. But, it's kind of interesting because, we have basically lost a couple of guys that kind of made our resurgent Atl United 2 season kind of happen a little bit. And, hopefully the pipeline is still churning out attackers. But, the fact that we just didn't really consider him for the Twos and moving him to, basically a completely different league is interesting. And, it's a lower league too. But, very, very strange. Any thoughts on this, guys?
Not particularly. I hope that in terms of his professional development, him and the people around him and the club itself, I guess, identified this as a positive move for him, hopefully, that they feel like it could fit in terms of where he is in his development, as in it makes sense to go there instead of somewhere else. So hopefully that is the case. Hoping the best for him, obviously, and he can show out at Chattanooga.
Indeed. I saw Tanner shake his head no, so we'll move on. But so to some people that or players that we can actually probably give some more insight on, because these Twos players and homegrowns, there's very limited kind of footage on these players, unless you are diehards of the Twos and go to all the games and watch all the games. But yes, according to Tom Bogert, Atl United were nearing a deal to acquire Argentine left back Elias Baez from San Lorenzo. But he reported that it was not totally agreed. It's kind of close, but a fee would be around $3 million, and Baez would join via the U22 initiative. He's 21. He's made 60 appearances for San Lorenzo's first team, made 19 appearances last season, had 1 goal and 2 assists. But seemingly looks like a guy that is more defensively sound, a defensively aware type of player, still developing attacking wise. Has a cross on him, but not really, the most accurate every single time or consistent. But a player that can sniff the danger. And Atl United has needed those type of players in the last few years. We are woeful defensively, and from that end with Baez, with Tomas Jacob, it seems like we're prioritizing that back line with essentially fullbacks / just defenders that are more on the defensive end. But thoughts on Baez possibly being the guy that is coming here, and also what that might mean for the likes of Pedro Amador and Dominique Chancoui.
I think it's interesting because you can already see the influence that Tata is having on this team. You've had three signings this offseason. All three have been Argentine. These last two have roots at playing lots of appearances at a young age, but at fullback. Similar players, both defensively minded between Baez and Jacob. So I think you kind of have an idea of where this team is going. Hopefully Labanda part 2. I think the most interesting thing for me with this, though, is that this is the second player we're seeing signed on the U22 initiative, which, as I mentioned in some of our transfer update videos, is in stark contrast to what Chris Henderson mentioned last season when talking about the U22 initiative as not being something that Atlanta United really wanted to explore or take advantage of. And you see Tata coming in, and immediately our focus is shifting back to early Atlanta United in terms of young South American talents that can be developed potentially under Tata's tutelage. So I think you're also seeing the power of Tata, given that Atlanta United is missing a lot of front office executives. So he's definitely kind of got a manager-esque power in terms of how he's affecting signings and the direction that his team is going. So I think it's interesting. We'll see how many other players sign and if they continue to fit this mold. But given, like you mentioned, Atlanta United struggles at the back last season, I think it's a good place to start.
Indeed. And Mike, yeah, your thoughts?
Yeah, 100%. We shifted in and out of being defensively stout throughout last season or two, and it kind of became the offense that was the issue for a while. Even so, I think that the more important aspect of this, like Tanner pointed out, is the kind of, and we'll talk about it too, with another aspect of our defense being moved on from with Bartek, but moving from kind of European to South American, you know, we all kind of thought that this was going to be the case, and it seems to be happening. I love the magnetism that Tata brings, that Tanner was kind of indicating, that it attracts talent. I don't think we had a lot of that over the last other coaches, to be perfectly honest. We didn't have a lot of big name coaches that attracted people that people wanted to come here and play for. We knew players came for the original United team because they wanted to play for Tata. We haven't had that really. Maybe you could say like Alzate with Dyla, but like we don't even know where he's going to fit in with this whole team going forward. So it's a little strange with shifting so quickly with that. It seems like a little bit of whiplash, but at the same time, if this is what Tata, how he wants to cook, which we know it is, and we know we typically like what he's putting out, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah. And yeah, two things with that. Great points, guys. It's you know, with Steven Alzate, well, you know, he is Colombian and also British, so it is one of those things where yeah, he will be able to kind of still mesh in with that South American vibe. I believe, yeah, he can speak Spanish as well, so you know, that won't preclude him from being, you know, someone that will be, you know, maybe exiled or you know, transferred out.
I mean, man, I got my own worries about that though. If the fact we've seen it before with a guy who comes in for a coach, like in a way. I mean,
sure,
you could debate whether or not that was exactly the case with him, but I think it's fairly likely that he came here because of the relationship with Ronnie Dyla, and all of a sudden that guy is up and gone, and he's left, you know, holding the bag. I mean, we've seen this you know, story before, this movie before, and how it's ended, and it hasn't been great a lot of times. So I just hope Alzate, he seems like he's a good enough player, composed enough player, mature enough player that he can find a way to fit in and be able to, you know, overcome any kind of expectations that were kind of dropped for him. So I'm really hoping for that, and not like a, you know, almost like a Santiago Sosa type situation, where they felt a little, you know, left out to dry.
Yeah, for sure. Which, you know, definitely we have a history of that. We definitely can run into that danger of alienating and basically, you know, kind of letting players kind of feel like, okay, well, am I actually going to be part of this? But yeah, I mean, it's also Alzate. I don't doubt he actually wants to play for Tata Martino as well. So there, on that end, I think that will be fine. It's just more of, does Tata want me, is probably the actual conversation. But and, you know, ultimately as well, you know, with the Argentines, and, you know, if there are other South Americans that we do bring in, Some may worry about the international slots, but I mean, I think we've realized, during the first 2 years, and even with, kind of with Frank de Boer as well, it's not going to be an issue. So yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll trade something for something, and we'll get these players in. But yeah, so like alluded to, another transfer rumor, according to Tomasz Wodlarczyk. I've completely butchered that. If you're Polish, you can get at me in the
Better than what I
comments.
could do.
But yes, so Bartosz Slisz, he will be transferred to Danish side Brøndby IF for Brøndby. Yeah, you know a little Danish, so yeah, you can correct me there. But for over 3 million euros, pending some formalities with Atl United, and yeah, basically he has already gone through some medicals, and yes, he will be expected to sign a contract until 2029. Slisz, obviously, kind of a player that divides opinion, but last year was probably one of our better players, if not best player, consistently anyway. Yes, had a mistake in him on the ball most every other game, unfortunately, but yeah, he did also have some big moments for us. Obviously, most notably,
yeah.
Against Inter Miami in the 2024 playoffs, which helped us knock them out. But
the death blow, man.
Yeah, indeed. And so, Slisz, a player that never shied away from shooting from distance, a player that very much did hold it down from that defensive standpoint in midfield. It's just a matter of, is he, well, he's not, obviously, a Tata Martino player, and it seems like it's a misfit, and that's why he has been sold, and possibly because we don't really have many saleable assets, and he's probably the only guy. But my question for you guys is this the right league for him? Is this, it's a little bit weird, it's a little bit low, right? I mean, it's, to move from where he came from, and then back over to here, and then to the Danish league. It's weird. Who wants to take this?
Yeah, because I know a little bit about the Danish league. This is like there's like a maybe 3 or 4 teams that are really competitive in the Danish league right now and have been historically. Copenhagen always being like number 1, and Brøndby is kind of usually there too. So he's going to at least in that league, a competitive side. Sometimes they could have the potential of being in Champions League and things like that. So there's that, but it's you're right, not a very competitive league. If I had to guess, it'd probably be somewhere around like maybe a little bit higher than the Polish league that he came from before this. I don't think it's as bad as like how was it Warsaw that like just wins every season no matter what. I don't think it's as bad as that, but I think he'll probably do very well there, is my estimation, because he's a good player. I mean, he did well here. Like you said, he was one of our best players. A lot of our players always had like a mistake in them per game or every other game. It wasn't just him, and so that aside, he was one of our better ones for sure. So, and the biggest thing you got to talk about when it comes to Slisz for me is that he's one of the few players that actually had a dog in him when he was playing for us. I mean, you felt his energy and his like he would get stuck into a tackle and he'd get up and be like, he would be really into it. So a lot of other players didn't really seem like that was the case, and you really hate to see that when your team is down and it's just the energy and the mentality just didn't seem to be there. But he never seemed to be checked out. He was always there. He was up for the game every time. So Brøndby's going to get a good player in that regard that's never going to kind of crack and break under pressure. So, I hope he does really well there, and I really expect that he will.
Yeah, and he also held the armband here as well for a couple matches when the players were not available for that. So He did, I think, step up in a lot of regards. Maybe not the best person to take a penalty, but it is someone that's definitely, I think, can hold his head up high in an Atlanta United shirt. He did everything he possibly could, and it is also this. Garth Lagerwey, he mentioned when he signed Slisz that he mentioned that this was the type of player that he always wanted to sign, and that's really big talk from the likes of somebody like Garth Lagerwey. But thoughts on this, Tanner?
I mean, I don't know for certain that it's because he's an outcast from Tata, because everything that you describe as a player kind of suits the type of player that Tata would like. So it might just be a case of, he has a chance to get back closer to home and play in a competitive league and possibly win a league title, because Brøndby is one of the few clubs that I've heard of from the Danish league, aside from Copenhagen and Midtjylland. So, maybe it's just a good opportunity for him to get back to Europe and play in a competitive league while being closer to home. And like you said, he's one of the few saleable assets. And with the money that Atlanta United are paying right now, it's kind of a trade for him in Baez as far as $3 million goes. So maybe it's kind of like what you said. He's one of the few assets that you could actually get a fee for, and because of that, that's what you have to do to keep things going. And maybe Atlanta United would have some more money if other teams would pay us for our transfers, but we'll talk about that later, I know.
We'll talk about that pretty much next. But before we do, it's that. I think, as far as, the saleable asset, it's likely why I think there is an aspect of it that maybe Tata is wanting someone that's a little bit more of a deep-lying playmaker. Obviously, he had the very best in the world ever, really, probably at this point, in Busquets. And so, it's someone like that, light, or even a Darlington Nagbe, a deep-lying playmaker that can really, just run the game for you from midfield. And that wasn't what Slisz was ever accused of. Let's be really, really fair and honest here. So that I think might be the aspect that we're really looking for. Is it might seem like a tactic of yesteryear, but it still is somewhat used, maybe fluid a little bit more now, but a defensive midfielder that splits the center backs and allows your fullbacks to push up, allows your team to really stay up on the opposition's pitch. And I think that's absolutely, obviously, what we are wanting to do, and I'm not so sure that again, Slisz is that guy. So anyway, let's move on to that aforementioned non-payment. So Doug Roberson, he tweeted out, or X posted, whatever we want to call it, Atlanta United and Botafogo have not reached an agreement on the Brazilian club's failure to pay for Thiago Almada. The MLS club is still owed $21 million for the sale and another $9 million for incentives and the sell-on fee. Of course, he went on from Botafogo to Olympique Lyon, but this is not usually a lot of editorialism from Roberson, but he said it's almost a Ponzi scheme operation by Textor, which John Textor is the owner of Botafogo, of Olympique Lyon, and Crystal Palace. So it is just a madness that he owns that many clubs. Actually, he doesn't own Crystal Palace, I believe, anymore. I think
he sold his shares because is he not partly invested in Everton now, if I remember correctly, something like that. He's notoriously a shyster, for lack of a better term. He's hated by fans at Olympique Lyonnais because he's basically bankrupted their club, and for pretty much anyone you've most likely heard of Olympique Lyonnais, because they're one of the most famous and successful sides in French football. And they've actually been up against it in terms of being threatened with relegation due to administration and other financial woes, mostly because of John Textor's gross mismanagement of the club and the way that he moves funds this way and that. Very Ponzi scheme-esque. They have a transfer ban now, good, until they pay us. So I can't think of a better way to force someone to pay than saying, hey, you can sign no more players until you actually pay for the players that you've signed in the past. Who knows? I'm very curious to see where this case ends up going. But when it all said and done, if we ever actually see any money, that'd be great, because it's going to be a lot.
Yeah, it will. I'm not sure how much we can really use in some senses because, well, our DPs are capped here. So it's, likely.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it could be the all-time MLS sale when you calculate interest and everything into it. It's like, hey, keep driving that number up. So, but I mean, yeah, with how the league works, it's definitely challenging. But I still think it's pretty. We've all been following soccer for a while. I can't think of any situation that I've ever seen like this, where, especially for a fee of this amount, where you sell a player to a club and 2 years later they still haven't paid you for him?
Yeah, like not even installments, not even like a little bit,
like nothing, like nothing.
Yeah,
like they're just like, thanks, we'll pay you for this. See ya.
Right. It's perplexing that litigation didn't happen sooner. After like 2 months, it'd be like I'd be like Stewie from Family Guy in that little skit. It'd be like
loading the gun.
Right, exactly. Oh, you got money for flamethrowers, but yeah. So yeah, it's that. What was it? No, mustaches. It was, you got money for mustaches. Anyway, I haven't really.
Also, did Botafogo play in the Club World Cup and win like Copa Libertadores or something recently?
Yeah, and so exactly.
They have money. Quit playing poor. That Ponzi scheme for sure. Outrageous.
Absolutely.
Outrageous behavior.
And then plus, obviously Almada was sold on to Atletico Madrid, and so it's like, okay, yeah, the money's there. Obviously, like, what are you doing with it? Pay us, but. Michael, thoughts?
I don't know. Maybe they owe money to even scarier people than us. That's probably where it goes.
Well, that's a good shout. That's a good shout.
So maybe some terrible loan sharks with incredibly high interest. Who knows? But either way, it's just like Tanner said, very clearly terribly run. I don't know how anyone could approach this club in the future and expect to get a fair deal done. I don't know. Like, this is like if they don't become an economic pariah in the trade world, I don't know like what else, how anyone else can appraise it any differently. Like, this is just, you just don't do business with them, like a persona non grata.
Well, I think if
Botafogo is not a small club either.
Yeah.
Like, Botafogo is a big club in Brazil. This isn't just some random second division side. Again, they won Libertadores and were playing in the Club World Cup. Like, this is like, it blows my mind. It truly, truly blows my mind. And I mean, not that Thiago Almada cares, but like, damn, man, like you said, he's playing at Atletico Madrid now. Where's the money?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, if Textor moves on from owning these clubs, obviously they're probably going to be absolved a little bit more in terms of reputation as well as consequences. But it also is, I'm like, this aspect of it, it's gonna piss a lot of people off, I feel like, and for Almada, I mean, it's more this was my thought, is that basically Textor really did a deal with the devil, and he basically Man City'd his way into something here to get some trophies, and who he owes. Yes, that's a very, very good question. But yes, that is the news. We need to move quickly in this mailbag. So, but you guys,
one more thing, real quick. By the way, it's the off season for Atlanta United. So if you want to watch some good soccer, AFCON is currently on.
Yes.
Now I'm rooting for Algeria, even though they're probably going to get their clocks cleaned by Nigeria in the next round. But oh well. But they just got a cool win against Congo in a really gutsy. In a really gutsy match, and a victory in extra time with a real banger. So check that out on wherever those clips live.
Yeah, indeed. I think that's the beauty of footy, is that no matter what month it is, you will find some football to watch. And for American football fans, too bad. But anyway. Let's get into the mailbag. You guys send in these questions through IG story and also Discord. Please continue to do so. We might answer your question in the future. But first question comes from, let's see, who do we have? We'll go with Ronaldo Dailino. How does the addition of Jacob affect our needs for the rest of the transfer market? We'll let one person answer each question. We'll just be quick. So who wants to take?
I don't know if I have that much to say on that one.
Yeah.
Personally.
I mean, I think that him plus if you get Baez over the line clearly shows you that you're going for defense. And with, as we talked about earlier, you've already got goalkeeper covered and DPs aren't leaving. You're kind of limited in what you can do going forward because you have a lot of money invested up in that end of the pitch. So I'm really curious. Maybe a midfielder might come in after this, given that Slisz is moving on. But aside from that, I don't know what much else Atlanta United will be doing unless they're planning on moving a DP player or a larger profile player on later in the window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe the likes of Asaba or someone else, because we do need some goals from our forwards. So something needs to actually still happen. But let's see. Billy Gleckman asks, what position would you get most angry about us adding another player at?
I mean, I think goalie would definitely be weird.
Yep.
Like, why do we have so many at this point? But let's see, is there another one I would be? I guess maybe like another center back, because I feel like everything has been center backs for a while now. Even in the last window, it was a lot of center backs, so I feel like that would be a little weird. I would probably be. I mean, I think what he's the kind of the point of the question is maybe like, why aren't we getting like why are we pigeonholed into not having more exciting signings at this moment? And it's because like they pretty much agreed, like we're kind of anticipating, no DPs are moving. There's no talk about like wingers right now. Obviously our center striker core seems to be locked in, so that's what you get. You get those types of those transfer rumors and things like that and signings. So
yep.
It is what it is.
Yep, indeed. Okay, next question. ATL guy asked, are we gonna get the money from Botafogo? Answer is not yet. ATL Utd.
We're gonna send the Home Depot strike force in to go and collect assets.
Indeed. Another question comes from H Steimer 1. Just asked, does this mean Amador is out? Probably referring to Baez. Yeah, what do you guys think? Is Pedro Amador out if Baez comes in?
I'll let you go for that, Mike.
I think that there's a chance of that, but like I think you could also perhaps shift formation to try and make that work. So it could be one or the other. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. Baez would probably be someone that, as far as price wise, should probably see a lot of minutes. But Amador isn't, I think, on that much. If we can keep both of them, we have kind of some different profiles. We absolutely need that. We don't need only one senior player either, and we definitely do need some competition for places. So if we can keep both of them, fantastic. Amador, I think, provides a lot more on the attacking side of it. He had 8 assists in one season. I believe it was 7. Either way, it was just a half season as well. Like, he obviously can put it on a plate. It's just a matter of, kind of the consistency defensively sometimes. But, I think can be someone that is a top player. But
just to quickly chime in on that real quick, AJ.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that also depends on what formation Tata ends up playing, because he's flexible. He's not committed to one system. And he played a 3 at the back with wing backs when Atlanta United won MLS Cup. and to have an offensive and a defensive minded player to play either fullback or wingback, like you kind of said, is really important because it gives you options depending on the game state. So given Amador's ability to go forward and the fact that he's not on as much money, if salary cap wise you're good, I think that's a player that stays because he's going to compete for places and he's going to give you options. And Atlanta United hasn't had a lot of options recently.
Yeah. I think my one worry about him staying is that he's been posting a lot of videos of him grinding in the gym, grinding on the pitch. Yeah, he's also been on holiday, but I don't remember seeing him post this much. And usually that is a sign of somebody that's trying to put themselves in the shop window. But it is what it is. Saba as well. He's been grinding hard in the gym. So, maybe.
Yeah, but that's just Saba though. I wouldn't read into that one.
I get it. Yeah, and he has shown
he's
that.
an animal.
Yeah, he has shown that a good bit. Even though that's the crazy part about Saba. He I mean, not that I have any room to talk, but he is incredibly thin, and yeah, he is in the gym a ton. We're not really seeing much per se, but it's footy bodies. You run a lot, you lose a lot of the muscle mass. So it is.
The man does not waste a calorie.
Yeah. No, not at all. But all right, we got a couple fun ones from some people here. So, Atl Utd VIPs, how long until Man City take over the top spot from Arsenal? Why do people set off fireworks on Christmas? Will Wolves be relegated from to the championship next year is probably what he no, maybe he meant will the Wolves be relegated from the championship next year? That is a crazy question. Wow. Okay. Well, yeah, whoever wants to take any of those questions, I'll take, why do people set off fireworks on Christmas?
You don't want to take the Arsenal question?
Because America. Because America. Yeah, anyway, and also why, how long until, take over? I'm not going to answer that.
I'll answer it for you. How about that? I'll be the somewhat non-biased and we'll cover up this scarf.
Yo.
Having watched the matches that came out today, we're recording this on Wednesday. Manchester City drew again. Arsenal play Liverpool at home tomorrow. Manchester City do not look great at the back. Brighton could have scored multiple goals. I think that's their biggest weakness this season is their defense. Arsenal have a chance to go 8 points clear. And then in what could possibly be the homecoming of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the Manchester Derby next week for Man City. I mean, who knows what could happen in that game. I'm unfortunately starting to come around on the idea that I think Arsenal are going to win the league this year. That doesn't preclude City from going on one of their runs, but I think Arsenal are more than equipped, barring an extraordinary injury crisis, to hang on to this lead that they seem to be building right now. So I wouldn't be counting any days as far as that happening. And honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of Arsenal, but City are a bunch of cheaters, so fuck them.
Yeah. And I think that's really what it is. Like, we are absolutely, yes, okay, we are bitter rivals as far as our Premier League teams, but we are absolutely the lesser of all of the evils. I mean, would you rather Liverpool win, right?
No, absolutely not. Because that would take them to 21, which would be more than us. And all I've got to hold on to these days is what we did 13 years ago. So you guys haven't won the league title in like 20 plus years, and you're a ways back as far as league titles go. And I mean, I guess in one way I'd say it'd be funny if Arsenal bottled it, just because like Arsenal, but like City's trophies don't count anyway because, as aforementioned, cheaters. So, but no, if I'm being perfectly just like straightforward, I think Arsenal are in a very, very strong position to win the league this year. They've got an incredible squad. They're too deep at everything, and they're having players come back from injury now. And I just think that they're going to be in a very, very good position that, honestly, whenever they play City away, depending on what the points gap is, that could really see a nail be put in the coffin, especially with Villa dropping points again today as well in the league title shout.
Right, indeed. And it's basically this, like, Arsenal has gone through an injury crisis, and we're, was it five up on second place. So it's we will take that anytime, any day. But Wolves really get it from championship? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think they've played too well in some senses. Like, they just haven't had the rub of the luck. It's been crazy. Like it's
Yeah.
they're epically bad as far as points, but as far as their performance, they don't have anything to, kind of hold their heads down for. I think they've
No, and if you look at the underlying stats, they're the largest underperformers of XG and expected points in the entire league. They've been really, really unlucky this season, and even in the run they've had recently, they've played very difficult games. They played Arsenal well away. They got a point against Manchester United, unfortunately, and then they absolutely blitzed West Ham, another club that's going down, because they're absolutely dead to rights. So they have a little bit of something to be proud of as far as how they've played. Their ownership has definitely not helped them, and double relegations are common. It happens all the time. Sunderland have had that happen to them in their recent history, but I don't think that it's going to happen with Wolves. I think they're a big club. They're strong. They've been through it before, and I wouldn't put it past them to jump right back up.
Yeah, but I mean, it did take Sunderland quite some time.
It did. But Sunderland's biggest issue was at the time they had a massive issue with finances and with wages. Wolves have been selling a lot of their players off. Their biggest issue is they haven't been replacing those players once they left. So financially, they're not really being held down by having, say, Jack Rodwell, like 150 grand a week. That's probably a name many people haven't heard in a long time. But, they didn't have players on large wages that resulted in them being almost going into administration. So I think Wolves will be in a fine position. They're not a Huddersfield. They're not a club of that size. Wolves are a large club. They're a history club. They'll be fine.
Yeah, indeed. Yep. Okay, last question comes from Billy Gluckman. When is it too early to eat a hot dog?
Context, like
just
time
in
of
general.
day?
Yeah.
Time of day.
I think he's talking about time of day.
Yeah. I mean, for me,
I think.
Go ahead.
I think that's a noon and on. That's not a breakfast item.
It's not a breakfast item. It's not a brunch item either. I agree with you. Noon and on. Once you hit 12, like you can have them on the stove or the microwave or on the grill, however you make them, but you should not be consuming a hot dog before 12.
Yeah.
And then it's after, and if you have one after 1 a.m., it actually is bonus points after that because
that's
it just
fine.
really hits it a certain way.
Yeah, I will agree with you guys if it's a corn dog, but I'm not the biggest fan of hot dogs, just because my parents have basically burned me on those, because we ate them for breakfast for a couple years when I was.
Oh no! See, that's the danger zone. You can't have hot dogs in that area.
Yeah,
No.
I was like 4 or 5 years old, and basically they boiled hot dogs in the morning, and it was okay. Yes, there is this caveat. Americans prefer sweet breakfasts. Okay, so yes, okay,
Fair.
there is that.
Fair.
But and I prefer savory breakfasts still. But hot dogs are not a breakfast item, and especially if you drink milk with it, and especially yeah, exactly, and especially even worse. My parents, because basically we're Taiwanese, and so there's a whole kind of warming up. What's it called? What's the soy milk? There we go. Warming up soy milk in Taiwan as a breakfast item. So they warmed up milk, and it was lukewarm, and so the combination of those two.
This is torture, bro.
I know. It gets worse. So
how does it get worse?
So then I love eggs, but we did scrambled eggs, and then they did scallions in them. And okay, not too bad, but the combination of all those things, and then on Saturdays, when this happened, it was just bubbling in our stomach as we drove about 40 minutes to my parents' work. And one time, my sister, before we even made it out of the neighborhood, she projectiled puked in the car on my dad's driver's side. And I had never seen puke that was projectiled before at that age. And I was like, oh! And you know what? We never had hot dogs for breakfast again.
It's just like, hey, Saturday morning, wake up, everybody.
Yeah.
It's hot dogs and warm milk time. Let's
Exactly.
go.
It's like, oh, Yeah,
Oh, so
everyone.
I just wake up and have blueberry pancakes. Meanwhile, AJ's over here like it's just, I don't know, some very difficult period of time in the world's history where it's just like
yeah.
lukewarm milk, hot dogs, scrambled eggs with scallions. It doesn't go together. You're going to suffer, but it builds character.
This is you looted a department store in the apocalypse, and this is what you found.
Truly.
Throw it all together.
Right. I mean,
this is what you find in like a locker in the Fallout games.
Yeah.
yeah, and it's this. I don't know how Billy Gluckman you found this question and found the Achilles, found the soft spot, but you did. And I had to tell the story. So anyway,
that is an excellent question.
But I will.
Excellent
we do
question.
have to make a little bit of a caveat for sausage in the morning is acceptable, but hot dog is not.
Yes, acceptable.
Yes.
Because it's marginally more, it's more flavorful, and especially if it's one of those flat sausages.
I just want to be clear for all the polemics out there about breakfast.
Right. Indeed. But anyway, so that does it for the mailbag. Thank you guys for sending in those questions. Please continue to do so, and we might answer your question in the future. So now we get to our job interview of Tanner. Just kidding.
Main event.
But yes, we'll talk, his fandom, how he started, and everything in between from, when he dropped off, and to now. But, first bit, I guess, is, Tanner, how did you first hear about Atl United, and, were you completely sold from the beginning?
Yeah, so for me, soccer is my favorite sport. It has been since I really got into it when I was in late high school. Manchester United were my first love, thanks, Dad. Mostly because it was a nice little counter to growing up as a South Carolina Gamecock football fan, where it was nothing but pain, and now it's just always pain. But graduating college in 2015 from South Carolina, I knew I wanted to move, and I was looking to move to Atlanta, and Atlanta United was announced shortly after that when I was planning to move here in 2016. And as soon as I knew I was moving to Atlanta and the club was announced, I immediately put down money to become a founding member and get season tickets in the supporter section, because as a football fan, I was like, to have a club in the city that I'm moving to and be in that extreme supporter section, loud area was everything I'd always wanted, especially as a 23-year-old at the time. 23, 24, math, like we talked about earlier, subtracting numbers. But it also, I knew, would help me find some community moving to a new city where I had no friends and trying to find people that I identified with. And so for me, it was no question about it. And also South Carolina, come on, red and black colors. I was sold straight away. And when I first saw that 5-stripe kit, I was like, yes, has a little bit of AC Milan to it. Great colors, cool striped kit. I'm down, and I was stoked for it, and it was really love at first sight. And man, just still thinking back to that first match at Bobby Dodd and the feeling and the energy. And yeah, everyone didn't know chants or what was going on, but just the energy that was in the building that night was just something special. And from that moment on, I was like, yeah, I'm in all the way, and I was so excited to see the journey. And you could feel something special from that very first night was going to happen with Atlanta United.
Mm-hmm, indeed. It's also, I think, for me, where I was sat, it's like, it wasn't maybe the best seat, but it was, I think, somewhere, it was like, I don't even know the numbers of the seats anymore, but basically it was kind of, maybe how do you even say that? It's like not on one of the ends, but on kind of the midfield side, but a little bit further on one of the corners. But pretty hot day, but still, either way, it didn't matter how good the view was. It was just like, it was a magical type of atmosphere. Where were you sat?
I was supporter section. I was the lower supporter section right behind the goal. And I mean, there are certain things I love about Bobby Dodd. I think the Benz is a great stadium, but there's certain parts about Bobby Dodd that I actually prefer in a football stadium. And that was how close you were to the pitch. You felt right on top of the game at Bobby Dodd, and you were so close to the players. And honestly, one of my funniest memories of Bobby Dodd was actually Joseph scoring the goal and jumping up onto the advertising hoardings right behind the goal before the fire went up and almost burning his face off. Because it was just so close and everything was so tight together. But yeah, I was right there in the supporter section right behind the goal in that GA area. And I think when I walked into it and you just saw the sea of red and black, and you know, yeah, we lost that night. And Yamal was not Yamal. Why am I forgetting his name?
Assad, yeah.
Yamil Assad. Lamine Yamal's name is in my head, but yes, Yamil Assad getting that first goal at the back post, and just like the eruption of noise and the excitement that happened in that moment. I know it's on the scarf wall somewhere, but I still have my my opening match scarf here somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I love that. Yeah, and you know, speaking of that fire, it's crazy how close he was, because when you're at the bench, when they put the fireballs out, you can feel them wherever you are, and that's crazy. Like he literally was playing with fire, and he lived to tell the tale. But
he did not get burned.
He did not get burned. Yep. But yeah, as far as kind of the first player that you latched onto, might be easy to guess, but
I think it was Joseph Martinez for me, and I was biased mostly because he wore the number 7, and being a Manchester United fan, like that number is just like a special number. And I thought that just the way he played the game, the way he scored goals, and he scored some absolute bangers. It was just hard not to fall in love with him as a player from the get-go, and his bulldog-like mentality of how he attacked the ball and how he approached the game. He was my favorite player from the jump.
Yeah, indeed. And you know, that's I think a lot of people's favorite player. It was you know, I think someone that just captivated a lot of the minds and inspiration for Atl United. Obviously, Miggy plays a big kind of magical part of that as well. Really, a lot of the players, you know, Labanda, just it gave this really kind of special bond, not only together as a team, but also for the fans. Did you kind of like, is there a kind of moment in time where, you know, you really felt like, okay, the momentum of this, okay, I think we could do something here? Was there a kind of
honestly
game?
I don't know if there was a specific moment, but I would say that even in that first season, you felt something special. And yeah, we went out in the playoffs, and it was frustrating because you're like, maybe we can win it in this first year, but it wasn't to be. But I think for me, coming out of that first season, it was like, okay, there's lightning here, there's something cooking here. You just kind of have to refine it a little bit. And as far as like that moment where I knew we were going to win, as soon as we won that first leg against Red Bulls in the playoffs in 2018, I had zero doubt in my mind that Atlanta United was going to go all the way and win MLS Cup that season. I couldn't point to a particular result during the season itself, because it was a very good season from the team. But once they won that game against Red Bulls in the playoffs, I knew it was going to be an MLS Cup year. And I still remember the feeling being inside that stadium, seeing the full stadium tifo, and just being like, wow, like Atlanta United that's when it felt like for sure that Atlanta United wasn't just another MLS club. We'd already seen 70,000 plus in the bins throughout that season, and it felt like a European night almost, which I can say there's very few atmospheres in MLS that even now that make you feel that, and that's what it felt like to me. And that had been what I was always looking for, to be able to, you know, hop on MARTA or just the train in general, just to use it, just a general soccer fan's experience. In Europe, you hop on a train, you go to the stadium, you see all the people you care about, you go in, you have a great time, and then you go home. And it was just like, to have that in Atlanta was everything I'd always wanted. And, you know, especially in 2017, I kind of got involved with the channel in the second half of the season. I know we'll talk about that more in a little bit, but it was very clear to me, given that you'd seen the growth of fan channels throughout Europe and everything, that I really wanted to get involved with something too, because it felt special and I wanted to just talk about it because of how excited I was. So it was just a natural next step once you and I got to meeting that ended up getting involved with this.
So yes, guys, it was a lovely conversation with Tanner about his fandom and him falling in love with Atlanta United and falling out of love with Atlanta United and what prompted his return. But yes, you can check it out on the Patreon. You can catch the full thing ad-free. And yes, we'll post the full interview later on the channel, but we wanted to give our Patreon members the first chance to be able to watch all of it before we published it completely. So if you want to get involved and watch the whole interview, definitely join us on the Patreon for the ad-free version and ad-free versions of Five Stripe Weekly and everything else all the time. But yes, we appreciate you watching, and yes, back to the video. But I think we do have to conclude that bit. I really appreciate the honesty, the transparency in how you approached it. And I mean, yeah, Tanner, it's I think this doesn't need to be said, but we are forever grateful for you on this channel. We this is our baby. We started this together 9+ years ago, and now into the 10th year. And I just like, it's with you two, I'm getting sappy, and I must end this podcast. So it's time for the question of the day. And the question of the day has nothing to do with much of what we've said the past 30 minutes, but mostly has to do with kind of what we're anticipating for the season. And so the real question for me is, for you guys, what type of midfielder is Tata Martino wanting? Because there's gonna be a lot of different types of kind of midfielders out there. Of course, is it a deep lying midfielder, deep lying playmaker rather? Is it more of a destroyer that's is at the 6? We know that number 6 position is so important to Tata Martino and most setups. So yeah, really curious what you guys think, what Tata is going to want in place of Slisz, who looks to be outgoing. So let us know in the comments below. Looking forward to what you have to say. But guys, that is the episode there and there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. That's been Michael. That's been Tanner. I've been AJ. We will see you in the next video.